So first of all, thanks for being here and taking your time to listen to my personal experience. The talk will last for about 30-35 minutes based on how I'm feeling. And this is really a personal experience. So please don't take it personal. I don't really expect to do any kind of generalization. I just hope you can welcome my experience and probably get something good out of it. And at the end of these 30-35 minutes, you will go home with at least 3 technical tips on the top of personal experience. So, if you really haven't guessed, a little bit of introduction. My name is Arianna again, and if you haven't guessed up to this point, I'm originally Italian. But I live and work in Oslo, which is in Norway, just to make sure that we all know that, where I'm a field engineer for Varnish Software. It's actually important for you to understand which kind of company we are. So, if you don't know Varnish Software, we are the company behind the famous open source web accelerator Varnish Cache, which powers something like 2.5 million websites. And I believe we are no more than 50 employees all over the world. Oslo is where we have R&D, marketing, mostly R&D and marketing, and the office counts between 15 and 20 employees. I honestly don't remember the number. And with this next sentence, you will truly understand which kind of mindset we have. We do brew our own coffee and beer at the office. Is this clear? So yes, we're very much startup-oriented still. So, which basically means that everyone needs to be valuable for the company. Otherwise, we just get stuck and we're not productive, we don't make money, my salary is not paid, and so on, and so on. So now we can start with what I've learned during the last 3 years. My remote is... So I came to the conclusion that I found myself between university and society. And again, if you really haven't guessed, I'm pretty young. So I'm really not here just to teach you how to live your life or how to do your job. But I'm just here to share what I've learned. And I did study computer science in Italy. I hold a bachelor in computer science. And turned out that I've recently realized that university prepares you to be the next academic, the next professors, the next PhD researchers, which is absolutely fine if that's what you want from life. But this was not really what I wanted from life at all. So again, if you think about it, the usual way of teaching at university is that you take classes, and the course goes on for something like 6 months, more or less, usual semester. And at the end of this 6 months, you will realize that most likely you have been studying the history of computer science and not computer science itself. You got a lot of useful information, I got a lot of useful tips, and that's okay. Again, it's interesting. No problem with that. But then you will find yourself in front of society. Or more likely, I got a degree, and then it was time to actually find a job. Especially if you move from Italy to Oslo, you will realize that you have to find a job within a week or something like that. And then there is society. So, and the tech world in particular. So we're basically bombed with input signals from everywhere. Society expects us to deliver more than a single task, more than a single job within a week, within a day, within a month. Whatever you want. And that's something university doesn't teach you at all. I mean, university expects you to stay focused on a single subject for 6 months. You can't do this in a tech world. Otherwise, I mean, we know how it works. Oh my God, new Dockers is out. Let me just drop everything and check out this new technology because I really need to understand what's going on and what's not. And you have to do this. Otherwise, other companies will indeed take your job. And you just simply can't survive in the tech world if you don't stay up to date. And somehow, especially during the last 20, 30 years, and this is mostly due to the fact that during the last 20, 30 years, we got a really huge ramp up on the tech side of the society. So we have machine able to do parallel processing, we have multi-threaded architecture, and somehow we also start using more than a single device per time. We all do that. Reading emails on your phone while, I don't know, checking news on your laptop. And we kind of came to believe that we're able to do multitasking. And I know you're thinking that. I used to think that as well. The fact that you can run and talk to the person you're running with doesn't mean you're doing multitasking. You're able to do it simply because your body and your brain, they're both used to do those two separate actions together because they don't require any focus for that brain. But as soon as you start increasing the pace of your running, you gotta stop talking to the person you're running with. And that's because your brain needs some sort of focus on what's happening with your body. You're basically trying to avoid a heart attack or something like that. So your brain needs to stay focused at that point. And again, I know some of you in here, I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure how many we are, but 2% of the population is actually a multitasker for real. I'm not part of those 2%, so maybe two people in here are actually part of this multitask section. But again, I've seen you actually wasting time while reading this slide. So for less than a second, your brain actually stopped listening to what I was saying because it requires some sort of focus reading this slide. And now we move to a more peaceful slide just to continue the conversation going. As I told you, and I've kind of proved you that you can't do multitasking. Now I know that some of you are actually thinking, well, I can switch from one task to another with no problem at all. And that could be okay. That's kind of close to the definition of multitasking. But what really happens with your brain is that your brain processes the task 1 and then switch context and gets to task 2. And it does this in a sequential way until you actually reach the goal for both task 1 and task 2. So you can be very good at switching context. Again, I'm not, and that's the main reason why I'm here today, and that's the reason why I will give you tips at the end of this talk. And that is perfectly okay. But as soon as your brain needs some sort of focus, it will be better if you just stop switching from task 1 to task 2 and just give your brain the focus it actually deserves. So at this point, it's kind of clear that we have university teach you to stay focused on a single task per time. But reality is completely different. You have to deliver more than a task per time. And that's what my other experience come in. I've been playing in a team I played in a team for something like 13 years. And if you think about how a team is composed, you will see we have 3 layers. We have a captain, who usually is the oldest person in the team, or if it's not the oldest, she or he is the most experienced. And he is very good at leading the team, especially during turbulent situations. Then you have the old glories. And those are people with a lot of experience. They don't really need anyone else to win the game. They can play game. They absolutely know what to do in every situation. And if they don't know what to do in each situation, they have enough experience to actually build a proper solution for the new situation. And then you have the rookies. Rookies, they don't have any experience at all. They most likely will create way more problems than solution to the team, but they really want to do good. And the usual way it works in a team is that captain beats up all glories beat up rookies, and rookies are beaten up by both captain, all glories, and we also insert the manager into the picture. I was not in a professional team. So why did I do this for 13 years? I've been into each of these 3 layers. And the answer is simple, because a team really teaches you how to work based on priorities. Do you know how it works at the beginning of the season? Do you know how a team actually decides what are we going to do this year with the season? We just go out there and play? Hell no, I don't work out 6 times a week just to go there and play. A team sits and they decide, okay, we have the championship. What's our goal for the championship? We want to win it, or we just try to save ourselves this year? And most likely, after the championship, the team will have to play, I don't know, let's say 3 cups or something like that. But no one is allowed to talk about or discuss about the strategy or the workout a team wants to implement with regard to the 3 cups. Because before you actually get to play the 3 cups, you will have to go through the championship. So basically, a team really works simply based on priority, on goal. There is a single goal at a time, and everyone in there is pushing for that goal. And that's how you actually manage to keep a team together, even if the rookies are beaten up by everyone. And that's just not figured, actually. And again, I've mentioned the word priority. And if you think about it, the word priority in English exists only in a singular form. We have started using the word priorities just during the last 20 years or so. And again, the word priority comes from the Latin prior, which actually means before everything else. So that's something you gotta do, you gotta think about, you have to achieve before anything else. So if you use the word priorities, just think about it, because it really just doesn't make any sense at all. You're basically saying that you have 2 things that you have to achieve before everything else at the same time. But again, your brain is actually not able to do parallel processing on 2 tasks at the same time. So this simply doesn't work at all. So now it's kind of clear. I have a technical background from university. I have a survival background from the fact that I'm Italian and I moved to Norway and I had to accept any kind of job to pay the rent. And I have a team background, which really kind of helped me every day during my working day. And now we move to what I'm doing today. I'm a field engineer at Varnish Software, which doesn't say anything of what I do, actually. I spend 50%, so I do work for 3 different managers, well, with 3 different managers. I spend 50% of my time working with R&D, where I write down patches in C. I'm part of the core team at Varnish, and I'm responsible for the second line support, which sometimes is very busy, or might be very busy. 30% of my time is dedicated to the marketing team, where I deliver technical blog posts and we do some sort of coordination between tech and marketing team just to get things going and be aligned on the same goal. And 20% is dedicated to the training department, where I'm a technical trainer and I take care of the content with regards to training. So what usually happens is that each of these managers will assign me a task. And in the worst possible scenario, I will find myself with 3 tasks which are considered a priority by at least a manager. So I will find myself with 3 priorities, which is absolutely wrong and goes really against everything I've been saying up till now. So how does it work? How do I manage to not waste time? Because I do remember the first time I covered this position, it was really a lot of mess. It's basically you jumping back and forth between tasks and achieving nothing, just getting bad results on each of the 3 departments you're working with. So that's where my team experience actually kicked in. I found myself to be simply part of a team, a player, nothing more. Everyone is important in there, but no one is really the star. That's how it works in team. So when I have to pick which of these three tasks is the most important for the company, the perspective is always what's important for each of us in here, not simply for me. I might find one of the three tasks more appealing, more exciting. I might actually want to work on it. But what's the real goal behind it? What want the company, what do we expect to achieve in 3, 6, 9 months? That's something you always have to keep in mind whenever you're working. Even if you do work with a single manager, just do remember that there is not only your department, but there are a few other departments in the company. And everyone should be pushing for this in the same direction and for the same goal. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time and you will not achieve anything out of it. So at this point, it is kind of clear that I had to learn something during the last year or so I've been covering this position. And I have 3 tips for you here. And those are mostly technical. The first one, it's called Eisenhower Box. I didn't know it was called this in this way. Google helped me out with this. And that's the logic you should use whenever choosing a priority. So basically, if it's important and urgent, that's your priority. I will also say, is that important, urgent, and something the company needs? Then that's my priority. So usually when I show up at work in the morning, I already know what I'm going to work on for that day. That's because the day before, during the last 10, 15 minutes of my business day, I spend this time simply reviewing my calendar for the day after, for the whole week, and also for the whole month, to make sure that we are all aligned. So let's assume that today I have to deliver a blog post to the marketing team, and that's my priority for the day, okay? Follow me on this. Good. I've picked my priority, but the noise won't stop. I mean, people will try to ping you on IRC, Hangout, possibly phone, which I need to be on because I'm responsible for the second line support, so I need to be available. And if you don't reply to any of this signal, people will just crash in your office without asking for any permission. So that will happen. You can't just stop the noise. And that's where the second suggestion gets in. And that's pick your tools. I work for 3 very different departments. And to avoid switching context every 30 minutes, I need to be friendly with my machine, which I'm not sure if you've noticed what it is. But nothing really runs on this machine, unless you use containers and some sort of virtualization. So what usually happens is that I'm still writing this blog post because I need to deliver it before the end of the day. Someone crashes in my office and tells me, oh my God, that's super urgent. We got a customer with problem. We need you to review this support ticket because everything is crashing. They're super pissed and we need to find a workaround. Okay, good. I can do this in either 5 steps or 3 steps. If I do this in 5 steps, it means I just close my blog post I was writing for the marketing team, go and read the support request and pay attention to which Varnish Software products are involved and which operating system it is. Good. Get back to my machine and try to figure it out. Oh, I need a virtual machine now up and running or something like that. Good. Let me just start a virtual machine. And every time, something goes wrong, for real. You have been playing with ports, you haven't provisioned your virtual machine during the last 3 years, and it takes you something like 30 minutes just to figure out why your virtual machine is not up and running. Once it's up and running, you can finally install the Varnish software products involved, which I have to say I'm not very good at, simply because I do a lot of typos. And this, of course, is, oh, look, no, I can't install this because it doesn't exist. And I'm like, yeah, it does exist. We have just released this. I mean, I work here. I know what we do. And again, this will take you some more time. I'm not kidding. I do remember myself spending something like 2 hours on something like this. And that was the moment when I realized I need to do something about this. I've done nothing. I've used the 2 hours trying to install a product I work for simply because I can't type in properly. And that's the third step. Then we'll get back to the fourth step. Good. Now I have virtual machine up and running, and I can finally read once more the email and try to understand which kind of problem it might be. And again, I move back to the fifth step and try to actually reproduce the problem and find a solution or a workaround. And with this, it easily consumes up to 8 hours, for real. If I do this in 3 steps, it means that I just close my blog post I was working on. I go and read the email, understand Varnish software products involved, operating system, and which kind of problem it might be. I have everything. And I also have virtual machines always up and running with several Varnish products installed and on different operating systems. I just need to pick the proper one, and I can go into debugging straight away. I don't even have to think about it. If I need to change anything about my virtual machine configuration, I have script for everything. I just don't really need to type anything in there. I simply use a lot of automation. I have scripting for installing, removing, letting Varnish crash, everything you can imagine. It's everything there. So machine is my friend in this situation. All I need to do is let my brain take 2 or 3 minutes to get used to the new context, and then I'm ready to go. And you can solve a problem reducing at least the amount of hours you spend trying to figure out why your virtual machine is not working, and so on. I do also use tools with regards to training and marketing, but they're not that much interesting. I do believe, at least to a technical crowd, it's mostly Google Docs, so it's not that exciting. And here's where the third tip actually kicks in. And it is waste time. Last week or 2 weeks ago, when I first started preparing, well, it was not really first start preparing, but let's say I was into some sort of paranoia mood before this presentation, so I've started reading a lot, everything. I was at the point, yeah, Google, I'm feeling lucky, give me whatever you want to give me, and I read it, I don't care. And it turned out that I've spent something like 12 hours reading anything on Google, and we all know that Google is not always reliable. And at that point, at the end of those 12 hours, I was, well, good, congrats. You've just wasted your day, and you haven't written a single slide, you haven't written a single line of code, you haven't helped anyone. Why did you even wake up this morning? What was the purpose of the day? At that point, I've just decided, okay, you know what, I don't care anymore, I'm going to the gym. And I actually went to the gym, and I was on the treadmill, and at some point, my brain started processing all the information I've been reading for the whole day. And surprise, I had a good part of this presentation made at that point. And I did this while being at the gym. So I've realized that my brain, and maybe yours as well, really needs some sort of time to process information. We are not machine. We can't be as good as machine. Sorry to say that if you do believe so. You really need to waste time. I can't even stay focused for more than an hour, and I'm not kidding. If I'm at high CPU level for my brain, I can barely stay focused for 40 minutes. Then I need a break. I need to go and get a coffee, I need to talk to a colleague, check Facebook, check the emails, whatever you want to do. So please do allow your brain to actually waste time. don't jump from one task to another. Just dedicate time to yourself and don't work 12 hours straight. It's been proven that we can't really be that effective for more than probably 6 hours. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I do believe it's 6 hours. So at this point, we're kind of at the end of this journey and what my personal experience has been so far. So just to recap and try to wrap up, because I think we have something like 14 minutes left, which is in time with what I expected. So we went through what I've learned at university and the modus operandi you learn from university, what has been my personal experience in terms of teams, and what I've been learning working in a company. Well, let's say playing, because I do really believe I'm a team player in there. Working in a company for the last 3 years. And hopefully, once you get up and go out to the next talk or go and grab a coffee, you will start pondering if you had a similar experience throughout the years. And again, tomorrow or most likely next week when you get back to your office, hopefully you will use at least one of the 3 tips I showed you. Of course, I do have more tips to share if you want to discuss those. But again, our brain is really not able to focus or paying attention to more than 3 tasks at the same time. So at this point, if you have any question, even if it's personal, it really doesn't matter. Please do ask any question you might have, because this was a personal journey, so I do expect personal questions as well. In the worst possible scenario, I will just tell you, sorry, I'm not answering this. And I also welcome very much any type of opinion, especially if it's very different from mine. So I really hope we can get some sort of discussion going. But so far, thank you very much for taking the time of listening to me, and I can see most of you are still awake even after lunch, which is extremely good. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks. Yes?
Yes.
I saw your face when I was saying yes.
So, thank you very much for the presentation. So, how do you tell your employer that you need to waste some time?
I just get up. So, first of all, I work in a Nordic company, which is very different from any other way of working, and in my personal opinion, it's the most effective, at least for me. I know I have to deliver a task at the end of the week, at the end of the month. And when I do realize I'm not productive anymore, I simply get up, take my laptop, and go to the gym or go home. So one of my managers is actually here, so she knows how I work. This doesn't mean that you don't have to go to the office, because if you want really to be a team player, you also have to interact with other people in there. And this really make a difference. And again, this doesn't mean that you spend a single hour at the office and then you're free to go. I usually spend something like 5-6 hours at the office every day, and then I do the rest at home. I have to say I'm very lucky. My employer never really complained about it. Maybe because I deliver what I'm supposed to deliver at the proper at the due date.
That's great. Yeah, I sometimes just go for a walk outside when I need some time to think about the problem with programming and stuff.
Yeah, I go to run usually.
That's
nearby.
Also cool.
Yeah. Yes.
So, since you have several different managers,
yes,
how do you handle the situation where everybody wants their thing right now?
It's okay to say no, I don't have time. I did say no several times. Just let them know, sorry, I have customer is in higher priority than your task. So sorry, you gotta wait, or I have a velocity talk to prepare. So please don't even reach out to me because I won't reply. And in general, you can avoid this if you write down anything you're about to do on your calendar, if they check your calendar, because they don't always do that. But it's okay to say no. Again, I think this is quite common in the Nordic model, more than in the rest of Europe. But I also have to say, I do believe my managers understood that even if I say yes, doesn't mean they will get a good work done. I could say yes and deliver a crappy job done. I will still deliver something, right? But it's in interest of everyone at the company to actually get a proper job and be productive, especially because we are not that many people and we have a lot to do. Good. Anyone else? Is that for real 4-hour work week?
Check it out. It's a bit extreme and a bit funny how you can do a work week in 4 hours, which is impossible, but it describes how to work around the 8-hour work day, even with how to deal with the managers. It's cool to read that.
That's a good tip, thank you.
Timothy Ferris.
Timothy Ferris.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone else? Please.
I was wondering, because the worst thing that can happen to me as a developer is I'm in the zone, I'm the pipeline is slow, it's slow, someone taps me on the shoulder, and that's it. It doesn't matter what may happen before I'm out of the zone, and you have 3 different managers, and you maybe finally have to follow that low close, and then someone taps you before. And even though you say, no, I don't have time right now, how do you get back into the flow forward? Having the same problem I do.
Yes, I have the same problem. And I really like when they kind of knock at your door and ask you, did I interrupt you? Well, you did now. Yes. That's probably the breaking point. That's probably the moment when I realize I need to lock myself into a conference room or something. So people will just think that I'm having a meeting with someone else and won't interrupt me. But it takes me a lot to actually get back and to get back to the focus I was before getting interrupted. And I don't really have a good workaround for it, apart from using sound insulation headphones. But they don't. Yeah, I know they don't. Yeah, they just don't care. But I don't know. Are you productive during your daytime or? Yeah, because I've been trying to work between midnight and 2, and that's really the best time to actually be productive and not be bored by anyone else. So yeah, I try to avoid to do high CPU work during the core hours at the office. So it's either very good to start working at 7 in the morning or to just stay at the office up till 6, 7 in the afternoon. So you don't really have a lot of people going around. And if you notice also the support cases, they most likely going to happen either at night, because they happen in the US or in Asia, or during the core hours, because that's when people are in Europe start testing and they realize something is wrong, and then they will reach out to you. So unfortunately, I don't really have a strong tip for that, apart from take a break at that point, because there is nothing you can do.
If you have the option to work from home, I tell guys on my team to take 2 afternoons a week and work from home those days. Turn off chat, turn off email, be completely disconnected if they really want to get concentrated for several hours. You have to have a boss and a company that's supportive of that behavior.
Okay. Yes. That's right. Any other question or opinion? No. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.